Welcome to the Kingdom Business Forum, a program where we empower believers to build kingdom businesses that advance the Great Commission. I'm Vicki Norris.
I'm Patrice Agay.
Now, as for Patrice, he's the Chief Servant Officer of Nehemiah Project International Ministries, whose purpose is to activate the kingdom through business. He's a trainer, coach, and inspirational speaker. As for me, I'm an organizing expert and president of Restoring Order, an organizing services and products company. Now, I met Patrice when I went through his biblical entrepreneurship training program. It personally transformed me and my business. Since then, I operate with the kingdom in mind. That's why I've joined him in this program, because now I'm passionate about helping you discover the power of kingdom principles for your business. Well, Patrice, today we get to hear a little bit from you, from a book that you've written. I want you to share a little bit with our listeners about Nothing But a Jar of Oil, one of your books. And then we actually have in studio a guest who is featured in your book. So tell me a little bit about it.
Yes, well, Vicki, the book Nothing But a Jar of Oil, which I actually had a co-author, my board treasurer co-authored with me. It's a book that really deals with leveraging our assets. You know, it gives seven basic principles that individuals can walk through to be able to go from where they are to achieving financial freedom. And it begins first with assessing what you have, borrow to consume and not to produce. I'm sorry, borrow to produce, not to consume, the other way around. And then the other principle is blocking out all distractions, enlisting the help of others, trusting God for the supernatural, selling for profit, and lastly, pay your debts and live on the rest. So those basic principles. As part of the book, we featured various biblical entrepreneurs who we believe have walked that. They understand how to use their current asset. They understand how to borrow to consume. They understand. They've been able to do it in a manner that has allowed them to be able to demonstrate sustainability and profitability. So the book really is designed to help individuals to be able to go from where they are to where they are to be using what they already have. And if they must borrow, realizing that you can only borrow to consume, to produce, and never for consumption. So Linda is one of my favorite biblical entrepreneurs, other than you, Vicki. And she and those of you listening. and she's featured in the book because Linda has a powerful story as how she literally built a business around a simple idea and skill set and really a passion that she had and allowed her to build a business that is doing several $100,000 a year.
You know, what I love about the Kingdom Business Forum, one of the many things, is that I think that it's very timely. You know, the business community probably right now in our economy is really thinking about, believers or not, they're thinking about how to get financial victory.
That's right.
But for the believer, we want to do it, and we're only going to be blessed when we do it when we're within biblical principles.
Amen.
And
Amen.
yet we ask for blessing and miracles and provision, and we're not even going to the Word to find out what that means. And so I'm excited that we have a guest here today who's lived it, who's been there and implemented your biblical entrepreneurship principles, because I think it will help our listeners do that in their own businesses. So Linda Sattgast is with us today, and she and her husband Charlie were on the lookout for a business opportunity from the beginning of their marriage in 1982. But it took almost 10 years. Did you hear that? 10 years. Be patient.
Amen.
And several tries before they hit on an idea that blossomed into the business they have today. It wasn't a business that they were searching for. You know, she was an avid fan of photography, family history, and scrapbooking, so she was an early adopter of digital photography. Always conscious of the archival quality of her photos, she bought a large format printer that was rated high for longevity of prints, even though she felt no need for printing large documents. But after purchasing the printer, Linda woke up at 3 in the morning with an idea, a God-inspired idea that would become the family business. With a wide format printer, why couldn't you create a scrapbook page in the computer and print it out on one piece of photo paper? Now, those of you listening who know anything about scrapbooking know that this is like a phenomenon. I mean, scrapbooking is a phenomenon, and we have in studio today Linda Sattgast, who was really a guru in that whole industry. So in a year and a half later, She taught herself how to use Photoshop. She developed a video training program to teach others about digital scrapbooking. Her husband taught himself how to build a website, create DVDs. I mean, they literally learned and acquired the skills to deliver this new business. Now, almost 7 years later, her newsletter list has grown over to 23,000 subscribers. She has a monthly membership program of around 3,500 paid subscribers, and she's known in the industry as Adobe's scrapbooking expert. She's taught seminars for Adobe and Epson, and her digital scrapbooking tutorials regularly appear on Scrapbook Memories TV. Welcome to the program, Linda.
Thank you.
Oh, you know, I'm a recovering scrapbooker. I told you that before we started. The physical act of like getting all these like papers and scissors and punches and acquiring all this stuff, it's sort of like the opposite of organizing, right? And so I was doing it over the years, and finally my husband said, "Vicki, stop the madness. This isn't even like, you know, relaxation for you. You don't even have very many hobbies except this. Why are you doing this?" So I can actually see how digital scrapbooking can simplify so much of that. You don't have to have all the storage space to store all the stuff. So I'm so just thrilled that you're here today and to share with us a little bit more about your scope of business, what you offer, maybe a little bit about what scrappersguide.com is. So we've heard the story behind it. Now I want to hear a little bit about your business.
Okay. Well, I was a paper scrapbooker before I became a digital scrapbooker, so I totally understand where you're coming from. Digital scrapbooking is actually the fastest part that's growing in scrapbooking. I mean, scrapbooking is a huge hobby everywhere, but the digital part of it is growing and growing. And as you can imagine, the new generation that's coming up really knows the computer well, is comfortable with the computer, and that's really the direction that it's going. There will always be some of the other two, I think, but in our company, we're really catering to those people who want to make the transition to digital. And that can be just partially digital. So the skills that we teach are skills that you can use with traditional scrapbooking as well. In fact, I brought some pages for you to look at afterwards. I'll show you. You can actually start with a computer, and then you can add a few things on that make it look more traditional. And so it's still a lot faster, but...
I'm trying to get away from the stuff, Linda.
Well, you can totally get away from it, but some people just can't, and they really like that 3D thing. I actually have people touch my pages to see, because it looks like it should be 3D because of the shadows. And so that's, when I see somebody do that, I know that I've done my job, you know, in putting the page together well. So what we do is help those people who are just beginning. We actually have 3 different focuses. The person who's just beginning, who knows nothing, who tries to learn it, they see all this cool stuff that other people are doing. They're seeing it in the mainstream scrapbooking magazines now. And they say, "I wish I could do that." But when they try to do it themselves, Photoshop can be frustrating. And so, and they just, I had one person write to me and she said, "I wanted to throw my computer through the window." You know, she was trying to do it and trying to learn online. And yes, you can go and you can find tutorials here and there all over the web. But to have somebody just tell you from the very beginning, step by step, here's what to do, here's how to get started, here's what the interface looks like. You know, here's what you should do first, second, and third.
And this is the DVD that you're talking about.
This is
the
our
tutorial.
DVD, our tutorial. And every time that Adobe comes out with a new version, we do a new version also that teaches
How much
that
is
version.
the DVD?
The DVD is $49.95.
Let me ask you a question, Linda. My daughter's 9 years old. Is she old enough to be able to?
You know, she could. Absolutely.
Okay,
Absolutely,
that's going to be her
she
summer
could.
project. And I've
Yeah.
been talking to you about this. Linda, let me ask you, digital scrapbooking, it went from just a computer, a printer you bought. You know, we're talking about helping people maximize their assets and just kind of help our listeners understand from how it happened with you that you uncovered this business using what you already had. Could you elaborate on that a little bit? And then maybe help us to know, how did you know this was it?
Well, you know, people like us, entrepreneurial type of people, we get these grand ideas. And like I said, it's 10 years in the making, this idea.
So was
It's
this
not
your
the
first business? Okay,
No,
so you
no.
had been kind of...
We had dabbled in this and that and the other, but it was usually something that promised us that we would make money, but it wasn't our passion.
Wow.
And so,
Vicky,
That's
heard
key.
that?
I did. That's key.
yeah, we tried a number of different things, and my husband Charlie comes from a home where he grew up, and his family had a small business. So it just kind of runs in the family. So we kept trying to find the thing that would work, and some things did work. I'm also a published author, and I've published over 30 children's books, children's picture books. So, but we were still looking for that, one business that would be our ongoing business.
If I say this, would it be safe to say this? Because we teach that you got to have the right motivation. It's got to be in line with purpose. It's got to be within your calling, and as you use your assets, it's got to be to meet clear needs. If I say that you were looking for something that lined up with those things, that would be a natural flow, would that be correct to say that?
Yes,
I mean, you may have not known the language, you may have not, but you were looking for that thing that will not be high emotional capital to get the yield only for money. You were looking for that natural thing that you really, in a sense, felt called to.
Yeah, when you're looking for something, you don't always put things into words like that. And I took your course in biblical entrepreneurship, and that was really exciting for me because it really put everything into perspective, where you can have all these ideas floating around, but to go through that and to see the biblical basis for things. And one of the things you had us do was talk about the scriptural basis for
church, pastoring, counseling, and those kind of things. And to me, that's awesome.
Absolutely. You've been listening to the Kingdom Business Forum. Today we've had the opportunity to interview Linda Sattgast. She's featured in Nothing But a Jar of Oil, 7 Steps to Achieving Financial Victory Through Biblical Entrepreneurship, which is co-authored by Patrice Sattgast. And I just appreciate, Linda, you being here and sharing with us what a kingdom entrepreneur looks like. I hope that all the listeners have been inspired that instead of looking for our own breakthrough and trying to bootstrap our way, that instead we would pray, we would seek God for wisdom, like Linda shared with us, that maybe there would even be unity in our marriage, do business together, bring family into it, create a legacy. I love that. That's one thing I heard between the lines, is a legacy. I hope that you can do that for your business. And I would invite you to join us at the Kingdom Business Forum on our Facebook fan page. Thank you for listening today. God bless you.
our business. And, and I started thinking about that and realized that the Bible is story.
Wow.
It is
The scrapbook.
a scrapbook without the pictures.
That's right.
I mean, journaling is so important
yeah.
in scrapbooking and telling the story. And so that's my huge passion. It's been all the way since grade school. I've kept a diary. I love photography. I like to, I'm always the one at the family reunion saying, okay, everybody, line up.
Wow.
We're going to take the pictures. And so it's been there for a long time. So when the idea came, and again, it came in the middle of the night. It came at 3 o'clock in the morning, woke up with the idea. And so especially, Charlie's always reminding me, this is God's business. He gave it to you.
Amen.
And when we have rough times, and every business does, we stop, we recall whose business it is, and we ask him for help.
So you're not in this thing for the money?
Yes, I am in it for the money. If there wasn't money in there, I wouldn't be doing it. I can't do a business that doesn't make money.
Yeah.
But I'm in it for more than the money.
Amen.
Let's put it that way.
Amen.
I mean, if you go into a business and you say, I'm not going to make money with this business,
yeah.
You
It's not a business, it's a hobby.
It's not a business.
That's right. That's
Yeah.
right. We don't know what it is.
You want to make biblical profit.
That's
Yes,
right.
and as I have grown in the business, so has my kingdom perspective grown.
Amen.
And I have wonderful ideas of how I want to bless people, not only my employees, because I now have employees and contractors all over the world, and I want to bless them. I want them to be part of the blessing of the business.
That's right.
But then I also want the business to be blessing further and further out, even in other business, like maybe business loans for in third world countries
Wow.
or some other type of thing. So,
Put
yeah.
me on the list of your blessing list, please.
I wanted to ask something that you brought up I think is really important, is that when you come to a decision point, you and Charlie stop and you really submit yourselves to the Lord. And that's kind of a theme. You are featured as a biblical entrepreneur in Nothing But a Jar of Oil. And in that you talk about, you share how you prayed when you were looking for a business to start. And then you prayed again because you had a heart attack. And you wanted to work less. And you sought the Lord on that. And now you're saying that you guys really come together in unity to pray about upcoming decisions and directions. And so can you talk about prayer, and as a biblical entrepreneur, how does that fit into leveraging your business, leveraging your assets? How does prayer fit into being a kingdom business person?
Well, God has said, if you lack wisdom, ask and you will receive it, if you ask without wavering. And who needs that more than a business person? Because all the time you're having to make decisions about things, you're having to figure out what the next step is. And when you realize that God is He knows everything. And if you'll just ask Him, He will give you the direction. And that example of when I had the heart attack and I had to figure out, okay, what am I going to do next? Okay, I'm working too much, because the way we started our business was that I was working full-time and we were funding our business with our own finances.
You were self-financing, essentially.
That's the
And
way
so
I
I
did
was
it.
working a normal job, and then I was also working in our business. And so that was too much. At one point, I had to let that go, and it's been a very good decision. Every time even on the worst day of my business, it's better than
The best day.
Right.
and it was a good job. I'm not saying it was a good
Yeah,
job to have, but I would never want to go back there, because I love
But
what I
that
do so much
requires
more.
stepping out in pretty radical faith. What
It
you're
does,
talking about is
yeah.
leaving security.
It was very
leaving
secure.
the benefits behind.
Health benefits.
That's right.
Oh, yes. It was
So-
a big
And
decision.
particularly having prior health issues.
Yes,
That's huge.
yes, because we knew that we would no longer, qualify for, and it is. Health
Wow.
is a huge expense.
Linda, you were already in business when you took biblical entrepreneurship. Since then, I've seen personally the radical change that's made in your business, even incorporating your children in the business.
Yes.
Could you kind of just talk to us about what has happened as a result of BE, and even how the children are now involved?
Yeah, having your kids involved in your business it has its pros and cons. You're so close to them,
Yeah.
and they're so used to you being mom and dad and not, boss sort of thing. Boss in a different way. And so we had tried at different times to do things with them, but it took sitting down with you. We had a coaching session with you. First of all, I took the course, and then we invited our son to take it with us. I think Caleb and,
That's right,
and
he
Charlie
did.
both took it.
Yeah.
And then we sat down with you at one point and really counseled, and you looked at them and said, I see a resource here that is fantastic. And I think it helped all of us. It helped them see themselves more than just the kids. And it helped us see them as the assets that they are.
Amen.
And since then, both of our kids are employed by us in our business. And
they've made a tremendous contribution.
tremendous
Relieved your
contribution.
husband.
Yes, it's wonderful, because Charlie is so busy. We've freed him up to do ministry. See,
Amen.
that's part of what our business was about.
Wow.
Was that he wanted to do ministry. If our business did well enough, then
He can
we
do
could
full
hire
time.
somebody else, and he can do
And
ministry.
your husband, literally, right now, he does ministry at no expense to the ministry.
That's right.
I mean,
That's right.
he's
He
a
gives his
full-time
time.
pastor, unpaid, because he's funded by the business.
Right, and he volunteers also in Civil Air
And
Patrol.
several other.
So,
Wow.
So yeah, that was one of the initial dreams of our business, is that we could do that, and that has come to pass. He still helps out here and there, but Caleb does most of what he did, and it's wonderful to have that. And Allison is helping me in other ways.
The other question, I know that when you went to the client, one of the things was to build and sell. Is it still
To what?
to build and sell? To build
A goal
and
of
then the
building
goal of
and
the
selling
business.
the business.
Build and selling the
Oh,
business.
yes,
With the children
okay.
engaged, how's that looking?
Well, we talked about that, didn't we, Patrice?
Yeah.
My,
Is that a question mark now? Or is it still?
it's more of an open
nice and open. Let's see what God
how
does.
let's
Yeah.
see how the kids
Yeah.
grow into this,
Yeah.
and it may become something that they will take over eventually, whereas we never thought of it that way
Wow.
initially. It was initially, we'll build the business up, we'll do well with it, and then we'll sell it, and when it's time to retire, and we didn't think of our kids in that as something that we could pass down, but we're rethinking that. So
We're hearing from a Kingdom entrepreneur, Linda Sattgast, of here on the Kingdom Business Forum. And Linda, I have a question for you here. You know, I've been thinking about, you said a few minutes ago that you and Charlie were looking for a breakthrough. And I bet there's a lot of listeners out there who are looking for their own breakthrough, especially now in this economy. But there's a difference between bootstrapping, sort of the way we did it before we became biblical entrepreneurs, and just looking for opportunities, and then doing it God's way. Would you say that there's been a transition for you, or what have you learned in that process that maybe you could encourage a listener with about, you know, who's looking for a breakthrough, you know, about doing it maybe their old way and then the way that aligns with what God, you know, the biblical truth?
well, the first thing I would say is that anybody who's looking to start their own business should be doing their utmost, their best at where they are right now. They should be giving 100% or more to their current place of employment, and because they are going to want to have those kinds of employees in their business.
Amen.
And-
As an employer, I
Yes.
just want to say amen.
And so I would say that's the first step, and then you know, begin to seek God and begin to look at what you like to do, and I guess having the mindset that you can do it. That it's sometimes we limit ourselves by saying, well, they can do it, but I can't do it, and even just changing the way you think and the way you say and the way you talk about it, just even to your own self, that I'm going to start my own business. Tell people, I'm going to start my own business. I'm not sure what it is yet, but I know that God's going to show me what it is. Now, our kids are at the point where they know at some point they want to start their own business, but right now, they're in boot camp.
Amen.
They're learning.
Amen.
They may start their own business, or they may take over ours. I don't know which is going to happen. But that preparedness part is important. So act like you want to be, you know, and then speak what you want.
Wow.
and begin to look, because you won't, unless you have it in your mind that you're looking for something, you won't notice.
know. That's right.
You won't
Amen.
notice the opportunities, and they won't come to you. You know, I mean, they may be all around you, but you just won't see them.
Linda, thank you so much. We have to have you back and talk about transition at a certain point.
All right.
Wow. Vicki, you can see the theme. You can definitely see she's walking her calling,
She is.
incorporating the family. I mean, I don't know what to say. I mean,
She
it's
is a
just
kingdom
overwhelming.
entrepreneur. And I mean, how amazing is it that her husband is able to be in ministry,
Yeah.
unpaid,
Yeah.
you know, but he is in ministry. And so what this is about, to me, Patrice, is about release.
Yeah.
You know, her and Charlie really became released after becoming biblical entrepreneurs. They really began to align with biblical principles, and then they began to walk in kingdom ways more and more. And that, I think that's my encouragement for our listeners, is that you have to start seeking what his kingdom means and bringing his kingdom through your business means right now to your employees. I want to have her back and talk more about how she's doing that with her employees all over the world.
You know, the other thing when Vicki is that it's not so much that her husband is being released to get into ministry, for they are already in ministry,
Right,
but
full-time
it's that they're expanding the ministry beyond the business
Yes.
into what he has a passion for, which is traditional